What's going on, my dear friends and my family? Coming to you tonight, not as Laserbeam, not as Mike from the Bantam Side, but just coming to you as Mike Lazar. This is about something that happened to me at a show recently, at one of my Laserbeam shows, that has impacted me greatly, and I feel that I need to share with everybody. Um, Last week, at one of my shows, right after my set, I was talking to people. People were giving me, the usual, "That was a great set, man. It was awesome," And I'm like, "Thanks, guys. It means a lot." And of course, it does, because that's why I do what I do. But this little gentleman came up to me. He was probably in his 50s, and he said to me, "That was a great set, man. It made me feel young and just made me feel things I've never felt before, and the emotions, and it was great." And I'm like, "Wow, that's awesome, man." Because that's really why I started doing what I do, was to make people feel something they've never felt before, and not just hear music they've never heard before, but to see, hear, and feel something that's completely new. And I was like, wow, that really means a lot. And so he kind of stands there for a second, and I thought, is there something else? And he says, "What is love? What is love to you?" And I'm like, "I just met you, man. Hey." But and so I'm like, all right, well, I'll just kind of humor the guy. And I'm like, well, I can tell you what love is to me. I think love is something that everyone experiences differently. I think everyone not only is loved in different ways, but they also perform love in different ways. Because it's all individual, because we're all different people. But I figured I would humor him and tell him what I thought. And I said that love is a decision. It's something. It's a way you choose to live your life. And I wanted to go into a lot more, and he said, "Okay, thank you," and he got up and walked away. And that was the last I saw of him, at least up till now. And so I was kind of thrown off my game for the rest of the night. I'm trying to support the rest of my DJs playing, and I'm just like, focused. Like, wow, that was different. Like, was that for me, or was that for him, or what's the like what's the deal? And so I got home, and I was just wrestling. It's like, what is love? And to anyone who knows me well, they know that love is something to me that is very sensitive, something I take very seriously, and something I try not to talk about very often. But when I do, I really mean what I'm saying. And so here I am trying to figure this out, and I just feel like I should share this with everybody. I feel like there's a lot of people out there who wrestle with this, especially those who thought they have been loved, who thought they have loved and haven't, and they found out the hard way later. And that crowd includes myself 1,000 times over. Let me start with what love is not. Love is not a warm, fuzzy feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach when you're around a really cute guy or cute girl. It makes you get all, just warm and fuzzy, and thoughts of glitter and glee and all that stuff. That's not love. That's hormones. Love is not something that, while it is a sacrifice, it is not something that makes you push yourself to sacrifice your integrity and your beliefs just to make someone happy, to where you make yourself a worse person to make someone else a better person. Love does not make you want to do things that are impossible. I see so often, I have to be with this guy to change him into a better person because I love him. That is not love. You cannot change someone else. You can give them motivation to change themselves, but you cannot change someone else. That is not love. I wish love could do that. Would have made my life and many others' lives much easier, I'm sure. What love is, to me, I'm going to start with some famous words, and then I'm going to move into my own sort of experiences and metaphors. "If I speak with human eloquence and angelic ecstasy, but don't love, I am nothing but the creaking of a rusty gate. If I speak the word with power, revealing all the mysteries and making everything plain as day, and if I have faith that says to a mountain, 'Jump,' and it jumps, but I do not love, then I am nothing. If I give everything I own to the poor, and even go to the stake to be burned as a martyr, but I do not love, I have gone nowhere. So no matter what I say, what I believe, and what I do, I am a bankrupt creation without love. Love never gives up. Love cares more for others than for itself. Love does not want what it does not have. Love does not strut. Love does not have a swelled head, does not force itself on others, and is never me first. Love does not fly off the handle. Love does not keep score of the sins of others. Love does not revel when others grovel, and love takes pleasure in the flowering of truth. Puts up with anything, trusts always, always looks for the best, never looks back, but keeps going to the end. Love never dies. Inspired speech will be over someday, praying in tongues will end, and understanding will reach its limit. We know only a portion of the truth, and what we say is always incomplete. But when the complete arrives, our incompletes shall be canceled. When I was an infant in my mother's womb, I gurgled and cooed like any infant. When I grew up, I left those infant ways for good. We do not yet see things clearly, but squinting in a fog, peering through a mist. But it won't be long before the weather clears and the sun shines bright. We will see it all then, see it as clearly as God sees us, knowing Him directly as He knows us. But for right now, until that completeness, we have 3 things to do to lead us towards that consummation. Trust steadily, hope unswervingly, love extravagantly, and the best of these 3 is love. So, in light of those words, love to me, like it says, is a conscious decision to put someone else before yourself. And when you make that commitment, it makes you as happy as it makes them. Because seeing them happy makes you happy, because you're one unit. If it is a mutual loving relationship. Love is, as I have discovered it to be, it is, despite a person's imperfections and flaws and incompleteness and all of those things, that they are still absolutely amazing to you. And you would do anything for them. You would die for them in a heartbeat. You live your entire life to make them feel whole. To where every movement they make, everything they say is magical to you. It's like living in a fairy tale, just being in the same room as them. You sit across a room from each other and you're just around this person. You just feel this buzz of electricity just electrifying you every minute that you see them. And I know I mentioned love is not the warm fuzzies, but those warm fuzzies do come from love. But they don't come first. Love comes first, then the warm fuzzies come later. If it's done properly. To where your phone will go off, bzz, bzz, and you look and the person's face will come up on your screen and you just shake and a smile splits your face, because it's just their very existence is the essence of what makes you happy. Love is a decision to no longer be selfish and no longer put yourself first, to where you would not bend yourself to the point where you break, because that can often fall into territory of just looking for attention and sympathy. Look what I did for this person and they don't appreciate it. It's not that, but it's to bend and give just for the sole purpose of them being happy and being safe, being okay. Love is a powerful thing. There is nothing as powerful as love. Love is what has saved and redeemed the world and will again. Love is something that is built 100% off of trust. If you do not have love, you cannot trust the person. If you don't trust them, you don't love them. And that's when people fall out of love, when couples get divorced, or things like that. Trust is broken, and that's what leads to broken hearts. And trust is so huge. You cannot have love without trust. You cannot have trust without love. That's what trust is. Trust is something I personally take exceedingly seriously. along with truth and honesty, because if you don't have those, you have nothing. You cannot get into real, legitimate friendships and relationships unless there is trust. Love is something that you must be built upon a firm foundation of trust and honesty, or else you have nothing. Love is a powerful thing. Love is the one thing that can cancel out everything else. Everyone says, oh, 10 good things happen, and then one bad thing happens, and then, oh, it's all downhill from there. Like, yeah, well, maybe there never was anything legitimately good in the first place. You see strong relationships fail all the time, but if they were truly in love, even if they don't get back together, there is still love there. There's still a part of you. Here's something that love is not, which is a common misconception. Love is not sex. Sex is not love. Proper, true, legitimate sex is something that comes from true love. It is an outward expression of what you feel inside. Sex is something, there's a reason that it's called making love. Men use love to get sex, women use sex to get love. Backwards. Wrong. You love, and eventually when the time is right, other things can follow. That's why it's so important not to rush into relationships, because when you're with someone, it binds you to them in a way that is beyond any measure of human explanation. You are bound to them. You can never cut that connection. And when you're with more and more people, it messes with the mind and it messes with the heart, because you and your life essence is being split up more and more. And that's why it's so strictly important to be with one person. Hopefully I won't get too many messages from my family about that last little tidbit, because they also want me to be like 5 years old, and I'm not talking about those kinds of things. But anyway, the person that I feel very strongly for, I keep their face on the front of my phone and the front of my iPad. So every morning when I wake up for work and my alarms go off to get up, which are on my phone and my iPad, I roll over and see their face first thing in the morning to remind me of why I do what I do, why I live, why I breathe, the thing that keeps me empowered to be a better person, that motivation. Like I said before, love cannot force you and push you to change someone else. Love can only change you. If you love the other person and they love you, both your lives will be changed, because it's done properly. Love is the most powerful force on this planet. Love is something no one should ever go without feeling. Many people love bad things even. There are people that love alcohol, and don't get me wrong, I like to go out with my friends and have a drink or two, or sometimes a lot more than two, depending on who I'm with. That's not the point. It is okay to like things like that, but when you begin to love them, you begin to be unselflessly committed to something that could potentially be harmful to you, whether it's drugs or alcohol or sex even, that's when love gets sort of skewed. It gets into some gray territory that can be harmful. But true love knows when to say no, knows when to turn away. Love is not just a selfish act, but it also knows when to put oneself first. And that's why it's so important to love yourself before you love someone else, because you have to not put them first, but also put yourself first at the same time in a perfect, seamless balance. And that's where this dance begins between you and this other person. You're looking out for them, they're looking out for you, everyone gets taken care of. Love is a precious, amazing thing. And if you find it and you can feel it truthfully, you might just find everything you've been looking for all along. Thanks.